Every drop of blood from this tree is money. So I need to carefully make this tree bleed without killing. I have a small oil palm plantation, but I figured out that the money from it won't be enough to sustain my life. The oil palm harvest has its ups and downs. Some months are better than others. So I decided to find another quick money alternative to cover the difference. The best option I have is this tree, and the process is quite simple. I make the tree bleed and sell the blood, but to do that, there are a lot of things to be done first. First, I had to do some major clearing. This area hadn't been touched for years. Some parts I could use a machine, but most of it had to be done manually. I knew I'd be sweating a lot, but what worried me the most were the stinger nests and snakes. Actually, I was more worried about the snakes, not because of their scary faces, but because of their venom. So while cleaning, I made a lot of noise and vibrations to let the snakes know I was invading their space and to scare them away. Luckily, nothing happened, and after a few days, I managed to clean the area. Next up is the first tap and setting up the tapping cup. But first, let me tell you a bit about the tree. This tree is called the rubber tree. When it gets injured, it bleeds a white substance called latex. Latex is then processed into rubber, which is used to make many everyday items. The process of intentionally injuring the tree to extract latex is called tapping. This has to be done carefully so the rubber tree doesn't die. The first tap is crucial. I need to be careful about how deep I go. Too shallow and it won't bleed anything. Too deep and it will damage the tree's water system, resulting in watery latex and eventually killing the tree. The first tap also serves as a reference for future taps. Actually, this isn't my first time doing this. I did it many years ago when I was a teenager during school holidays, but that doesn't make me an expert. So I spent a lot of time on the first tap, being very diligent. I didn't collect the latex from the first tap because there's usually not much to collect, but it can still be sold. So I just let it dry in the rubber cup. Next, after letting the tree rest for about a day, I'm going to put a latex booster on all the trees. This stuff makes the tree more active in producing latex. It doesn't take long, just brushing and painting the booster on the tapping area. Then I need to let the rubber tree rest for 3 to 4 days before I can do the actual tapping. While the tree is resting, I prepare the mold for the latex. This mold shapes the latex when it solidifies into rubber. It's just a rectangular mold, but it has to be leak-proof. I also make a simple shade for the processing area to protect it from rain, sun, and other things. Look, Bread came to visit while I was building the hut. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know about Bread. By the way, it would really motivate me if you could like this video and subscribe. I need the energy to keep going, to be honest. 4 days pass, and now the tree is ready for the real tapping. I sharpen my tapping knife, a tool solely for tapping, and start tapping. After the first tap, the process gets much faster. Less than a minute per tree. It has to be, because if not, I'd be tapping until noon and still not be finished. I need to finish tapping before the sun gets too hot, or I'll get less latex. There are a few things I need to be aware of while tapping the tree. The rain, dead branches or trees, mosquitoes, and again, snakes. I need to be really aware of the weather before I start tapping, or else all the energy and time I invest will go to waste. So I usually check the weather forecast before deciding to go tapping or not. The mosquitoes are really annoying here, especially during the rainy season. So I have to cover most of my skin on the farm. Who knows, the mosquitoes might carry disease-causing microorganisms. Dead trees and branches are especially dangerous during the windy season. Bad luck, and they could cause injury, or in the worst case, death by falling tree. I've stumbled upon a snake a few times. I have to wait until it goes away before continuing. Snakes usually don't appear where humans are often, but sometimes they need to cross to do their thing. So I just need to be aware of my surroundings. After finishing tapping, I let the latex drip for about 2 hours before collecting it. I use rubber gloves to collect the latex, which saves me from having to clean my hands later. I use formic acid as an agent to solidify the latex into rubber. It has to be diluted before use, so I mix it with a certain amount of water. Since I don't know the exact concentration of acid to use, I don't really have a fixed amount to mix with the latex. I usually pour it slowly while mixing until I feel the viscosity increase. Then I pour it into the mold, and that marks the end of the work. Usually, all of this is completed before noon. Inside the mold, the latex slowly solidifies into rubber. I let the tree rest for about 2 days before tapping it again and again and again. Once a month, the rubber buyer comes to buy my processed latex. The income from rubber tapping isn't much, but it's enough to cover the ups and downs of the overall income for a small farmer like me. Maybe. But for a half day of work, I think it's worth it. I mean, anything that makes money is worth it, right?